Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us for another episode of the Expat Daily Show. Now, before I do get started, don't forget to smash a like and do subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. If you like listening on a podcast player, there's a link down below in the description which will take you to a vast array of podcast players. And if you would like to support the show, if you like the show, if you want to buy me a coffee, there's a link down below in the description to buymeacoffee.com. And just again, to remind people from the last day, today will be the last show until September 12th. The Thai Expat Daily Show will be taking a holiday abroad. And, actually, we're going to be gone for about a month, but a little bit of a break for a week or so. And then after that, we'll bring you a couple of shows a week while we are at home in the Republic of Ireland. And once back to Thailand, then we'll be fully back into it. But the next show will be back on September 12th. But nevertheless, let's jump into the top 4 stories or 5 stories doing the rounds here in Thailand today. The first one, delivery riders seek crash aid. A group of delivery motorcycle riders have called on the Ministry of Labour to provide them with legal protection and financial compensation if they're involved in road accidents. Supaporn Panprasit, a member of the representatives of the group, told reporters that the riders who work with various apps and e-commerce platforms are exposed to constant danger during their delivery rounds. As they must race against time to deliver food and parcels quickly, they sometimes find themselves involved in traffic accidents, often resulting in injuries. Some lose their limbs or even their lives. However, many never receive any financial assistance or compensation from either the other party in the accident or platform operators. Being a delivery rider is not officially recognized as a part-time job because it comes with legal conditions and agreements attached. Moreover, a full-time labor system governs the income shared between the rider and their platform. As we are considered by law to be employees, we urge the Ministry of Labour to talk with the delivery platform operators to provide rider protection, including accident insurance, and cover our medical costs of up to 10,000 baht for each rider. Crowds of delivery riders gathered at the ministry recently to seek help from the new government. They asked officials to rein in the delivery platform and ensure they offer better welfare protection and fair income. We want to have a compensation fund set up to improve the welfare of delivery drivers, said Mr. Suporn. The compensation must be launched immediately to lighten the financial burden on the riders and their families. Now, Maneen Wongsarakam, a 38-year-old former delivery rider, said her leg was amputated after her motorcycle hit a truck that failed to signal before making a turn. She received 800 baht a month from a government welfare scheme for people with disabilities, adding that no compensation has been forthcoming from the platform she worked for. Kasam Krungcharan, director of the Informal Labour Protection Division, said that delivery platform operators and their riders have been invited to talks to find a solution together. The ministry has also drafted an informal labour law that highlights welfare protection for delivery riders. The bill is being vetted by Parliament. He said some people who work as full-time riders, while others do not. During their talks, the platform operators agreed to provide riders with financial protection during their working hours. However, the riders want that protection extended around the clock. Yet again, a bit of a strange one because there's no mention about these drivers. Do they pay tax? Are they paying tax on a daily basis, or is this just a free money job where they get the money and none of it is disclosed to the tax man? If they were paying tax and this was legitimately being done, then they should be paying some form of money to the social welfare system, which then would give you protection when you go to a hospital and you'll be able to get treatment for free or at a very low cost. Further to that, there's no mention that these drivers have, well, the most basic of things, motorbike insurance. A policy, and a simple policy, would cost about 2,500 baht. It's not very much money for a year. So there's no mention of, taking responsibility for yourself. And here in Thailand, I always find is the workers, people who work here at times expect things to be just handed to them, but yet they don't pay into the system as such to be able to get something back from the system. So, a lot of people who work here in Thailand, and if you work in a job, you pay your tax, you pay your social insurance, and that covers you then for medical. And everybody who pays social insurance here in Thailand gets medical. There's different levels. You can pay up to 750 Thai baht per month. So you pay 750 and your employer pays 750, and that goes into a fund. But it entitles you to certain benefits. And one of them is being able to go to a hospital that you've chosen, but you can go to other ones, of course, too. And Once you do that, you can use the hospital at a very small minimal fee at times, and many times there's no charge at all. Now, the disadvantage to that is that sometimes you're going to wait a while because it's a public hospital. But it does work. Now, are they prepared to start paying tax? Are they prepared to pay into the fund? And if you pay even, but I'm talking into the fund, a couple $100 a month into the fund to give yourself some health insurance as such. But they don't want to do that. They just want the handout. And that's what this article basically has been come across. I saw a guy make a very good comment. So just get motorbike insurance. Pay for it for a year, or say, you know what, I'd like to be a legitimate rider, and then this comes onto the platform as well. So if you're going to do it like that, become a legitimate motorcycle rider, this is your job, then pay tax, pay your social insurance each month, and I think then you're covered and you'd have nothing to worry about in that respect. But there's always this thing is that they don't want to pay that part. They don't want to be paying tax. And this goes into a broader conversation about Thailand and tax revenue, where there's a large amount of people in this country who don't pay any form of tax. And it's not because their salaries are low, it's because they just get away without paying it. There's a culture here of it. And it seems that only certain businesses pay, and a lot of people get away with it in this country. And of course, if they wanted to succeed more in this country and for people to have more, if you have more people paying tax into the system, then at the end of the day, they will be able to offer more benefits as well. But that's a completely different story. But nevertheless, on this again, as I say, pay into the system and then you'll get all the benefits that come with that. Now, moving along, interesting. Hot news, Thaksin submits his application for royal clemency. He did well. He was 12 days, 10 days, fair play to him. Convicted former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, who recently began serving an 8-year prison term and is currently receiving medical treatment in the Police General Hospital in Bangkok, has already submitted a petition for royal clemency. Deputy Prime Minister Wasana Kragnam said today that he has already received a request and will examine the details before forwarding it to the Prime Minister. Vasanu added that he does not know if it will be handled by this administration or the next. Procedurally, a Prime Minister will forward such a petition to the King. On August 28, however, the Thai Pakdi Party submitted a petition to the Corrections Department Director General, opposing any attempts by Thaksin to seek a royal pardon. Anand Sakorn Sharan, treasurer of the Thai Pakdi Party, said the petition is based on the fact that Thaksin has 4 convictions for corruption, which gravely damaged the country's governance and reputation. Thaksin also evaded punishment for a long time by fleeing abroad, clearly showing that he does not respect the country's justice system. Therefore, Thaksin's petition for a royal pardon would bother the king, Anana said. Thaksin's petition, if granted, would be unjust and emphasise legal and social inequality in the country, he noted. It would also confirm the axiom that, in Thailand, prison is just for the poor. Furthermore, the party noted that there are 2 pending charges against Thaksin in court, so Thaksin should be tried on those charges before being also able to seek royal clemency. So this guy again, he's wiggled his way into submitting here. He's allowed to do it if you're over 70 years of age. Normally, to apply for a royal pardon, I think you have to have served like half your prison sentence or something. But if you're over 70, you can apply straight away. And of course, if you have bad health, that's another stipulation too. And of course, he's been playing up how sick he is over the last 10-12 days since he arrived back in Thailand. He's very sick man. Birthday parties in Cambodia and the flying around the world all day long. I mean, make you a very sick man. I mean, the Thai people don't buy it, and I think that's pretty much clear. A lot of people find this to be an absolute joke. Now, in order for him to come back to Thailand in such a way, deals have had to be done at the highest levels of this country, because if he doesn't get the royal pardon, he can't apply for another 2 years, and he will end up eventually in actual jail. Now he's basically living it up on the 14th floor in a nice air-conditioned big room looking out the windows of Bangkok. It does stink of kind of a certain level of corruption to bring this guy back. For what reason? Who knows? I think Thailand would be better off without the likes of this guy and even his clan at this stage. I think Thailand need to move on from the generals, from the Shinawatra family and these guys, and move on to a better future, in my opinion, of course. Again, he's getting special treatment, and it's clear that he is. I just read of a girl who's up on 3 lèse majesté charges, and she's been on hunger strike now for a couple of weeks. She's dropped down to 33 kilos. That's her current weight. Young woman. Who knows if she'll be actually convicted for what she's done, but she's been in prison. They won't even let her out, maybe writing something on the internet or whatnot. She can't even get into hospital. But this guy, because he's who he is living it up on the 14th floor of the police hospital in the royal suite, by the way. The royal suite is what it's called, that floor. That's where he's living it up. While a girl is at 33 kilos, slowly dying, and she can't even get brought to hospital. Can't even get a transfer to a hospital. That's the level of corruption and disdain towards some people in this country and the way other peoples are held up. I read that his daughter, Kay Tung Tarn, was saying that, he's finding it hard to adjust to being in a room. You're in hospital, mate. That's what happens when you're sick. I mean, if you're really sick, of course. As most people believe this is all nonsense and it's just, a smokescreen for what they're waiting to come. And of course, the worst part is for the guy now from the, what party was that? The Thai Pak D part. The worst part of all this is, if the royal pardon, of course, is granted, the yellow shirts, the people who oppose Thaksin, can say nothing about it because the pardon has come from the highest level of Thailand. So they can't even say anything. They can't even criticize it because that would be seen to be criticizing the monarchy as such in the country. So they can't even do that. So it's put people in an awful kind of bad situation where you can't really, if the pardon goes through, you can't really talk about it after that. And of course, Shinawatra knows this. Personally, I think there was a time Thai people kind of liked him and suffered him because he was from abroad and they entertained him, but now that he's back again, I think people are just fed up with everything that's gone on in Thailand over the last 6 months in terms of the general election, the manner in which things have been done, and which is obvious that everything that has been done has been to bring this guy back. But nevertheless, he seems to be living it up in hospital. Of course, nobody's seen him. There's not a photo of him. Nothing. Unbelievable, right? If it was anybody else, there would be pictures for sure. Nevertheless, we'll move on to the next story. Actually, it's interesting. It's about this 10,000 Thai baht that the Phua Thai party have promised they're going to give to everyone before Songkran next year. So a handout set to be based on tokens. The new government is expected to issue utility tokens to support its digital wallet scheme, with the plan requiring the approval of the Bank of Thailand, as tokens are currently prohibited for use as payment by the regulator. Asia Plus Securities, ASPS, expects the Phua Thai-led government to issue Type 1 utility tokens as digital handouts worth 10,000 baht to Thais aged 16 and over. The scheme is estimated to require a budget of 560 billion baht. Now imagine the good you could do with that for the poor and the less well-off in society, by the way. The government is consulting with the Finance Ministry and the Securities and Exchange Commission about how to issue this type of token and determine the funding sources. The government is expected to issue the tokens for consumer purposes, and utility tokens cannot be traded on digital asset exchanges, ASPS said in a research note. Prime Minister Shweta Thaksin recently confirmed the digital wallets are expected to be launched at the beginning of next year. The utility tokens are subject to specific conditions, such as the purchases of consumer goods within a 4-kilometre radius of the recipient's residence. Citing a Thailand Development Research Institute study, ASPS said part of the budget required for the digital wallet plan would come from government income in fiscal 2024, which is estimated to increase by 260 billion baht, and tax revenue, which is expected to rise by 100 billion baht thanks to economic stimulus measures. However, the executive of ASPS said that there are some concerns about the source of funds. For example, the government's budget might be reduced in some areas, including investments giving high public debt. The increase in tax revenue from stimulus measures is also not guaranteed because there are uncertainties over whether the move will be adequate to kickstart the economy at all. So this is really where they're at now at the moment. It's going to be a utility token. I'm not 100% sure what a utility token is. The more I read into it, the more confused I got. But nevertheless, you currently can't use utility tokens here in Thailand. So you're going to have to introduce that as a law, and that may take longer. But it's an unreal amount of money for a giveaway. That, by the way, the giveaway is to all Thais. So it doesn't matter how rich or how poor you are, you're still going to get it. 560 billion baht. That's what it's going to cost the country. I think that's a shameful amount of money to be handing out to people because you made a promise. This was your election pledge as such. To me, it's a shameful amount of money. And there is a lot of good that could be done with that kind of money. I mean, if we're even talking about helping the poor, the homeless in the country, education system needs an awful overhaul. I mean, there's schools in this country, if you saw them, you'd be thinking, yeah, that money be greatly spent there. Build some nice classrooms, more equipment, invest in children's future and things like that. No, just hand it out for the sake of it because, it's a populist policy and, we need to kind of buy the people's votes. which is exactly what they're trying to do, by the way. Now, next up, Phuket Airport chief confirms taxi apps are welcome from September 1st. Now, we brought you this in the last episode, that they're going to allow Grab and all these other taxi apps that are in Phuket to pick up at the airport, which is great news. And now they've actually set the date. It's going to be September 1. So Monchai Tanod, general manager of Phuket International Airport, announced that taxi drivers who are hired through ride-sharing app will be allowed to pick up passengers at Phuket International Airport starting on today, Friday, September 1st. Move follows the visit by Phuket by the Prime Minister Shweta Thaksin and Airports of Thailand President Dr. Kirati last Friday. The move also marks a historical milestone in allowing tourists to Phuket to use taxi services at the airport that are not exclusively controlled by a cooperative drivers who pay AOT millions of baht a year for the privilege of serving passengers at the airport. Phuket Airport has been directed to introduce new modes of travel to enhance public convenience. This move aims to cater for both domestic and international tours, aligning with the evolving travel landscape. That was according to Mr. Monchai. Phuket Airport will embrace app-based taxi services to streamline passenger transportation within the airport premises. The move comes as part of a broader strategy to accommodate the growing number of taxi and foreign tourists entering the region, he added. So far, the operators of 4 taxi apps, Grab, Asia Cab, Hello Phuket and AirAsia Super app, have formally requested to pick up passengers at Phuket Airport, he explained. Grab has received the green light to commence operations first, while other applications are still undergoing evaluation. Passengers opting for these app-based services will be able to request rides from a designated waiting area situated between the domestic and international terminals. This central location will serve as a pickup point, ensuring seamless access for travellers. App taxis must comply with the fares already set out by the Ministry of Transport, Mr. Monchai confirmed. So, good news in many ways for people, and I do believe that Phuket does need more options in terms of what kind of taxis it can use. But if we're going to talk about transportation from Phuket International Airport, how about a better bus service? More than one bus going every hour. That's it. Crappy little bus that sits around the corner that's hard to find. How about thinking about some kind of a train service to and from Phuket International Airport? These are all the things that need to be talked about in Phuket, rather than just the age-old talk about taxis. I think a proper bus service would make a great difference to people. A great difference, servicing many areas on the way, not just straight down the main road of Phuket and then kind of on to a couple of other places, but servicing the entire coast. And I think that would be of benefit to people and a benefit to whoever would operate this bus. Of course, the bus should be opened up to various other buses being able to do it too. So multiple contracts for operators to be able to operate good services to and from the airport. I think that would be a huge improvement on what we have so far, but then also looking into the future of having a train service that goes straight to the airport, like you have in many airports around the world. A straight train in there for people to come and go, because that's what you want. You want people to be able to get in and out of the airport as quickly as possible, and that has to be the main focus of it all. But it definitely is an improvement. It'll be interesting to see how these cooperatives react to these app-based taxis being allowed to pick up. I still think there's going to be issues, but we'll see in the future how it works out. And finally, I want to bring you some news. We spoke about the Thai Elite Visa the last day, and I didn't have prices for you, but I found them now. So the Elite Card price is to be increased by 50%, guys. Thailand Elite Card is preparing to raise its minimum membership price by 50% to 900,000 baht from 600,000. The 4 new types of card will also remove the word elite from their titles, which has been used since the scheme began under the Thaksin Shinawatra government in 2003. We're confident that we will not lose clients to neighbouring countries that offer a similar long-stay visa program, said Yuttasak Supasorn, Governor of the Tourism Authority of Thailand and Board Chairman of the Thailand Privilege Card Company, the operator of the card. The price of the most expensive new membership, called Reserve, will be raised to 5 million, surging 150% from 2 million baht for the existing top membership, with a visa length of 20 years. However, this type will be accepted on the basis by invitation applications with only 100 members per year. Even though it is more expensive, additional benefits would entice more customers, the company said. The number of members is now 31,500, which after 20 years of operation had generated about 50 billion baht to the country's economy. TPC posted a 645 million baht profit in the first 9 months of 2023, exceeding the profit of 627 million baht in 2022. Now, this is a private company operating this, so they operate it based on what? profit. 645 million baht last year isn't enough profit for them. They need more. This is what it's all about. It's about making money for somebody else. Not the Thai people, where the money should be going, but for a private company. Imagine that. Nevertheless, that is it for today, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget our next show will be back on September 12th, as we'll be away now for a little holiday. Thanks again, as always, for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. As always, stay safe out there, guys, and thanks again. But ultimately, with this story or anything else that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because yes, this is a news show, but it's also a conversation. Now keep that conversation going. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and do all the good stuff that does help that YouTube algorithm. But ultimately, my name is Kieran Mack. You've been listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show, and we will see you next time.